So this is the training data. Now each one of this is an attribute, and this is also attribute, the last one. The first 6 attributes. The first six attributes we are considering it as a independent variables, okay, which we normally represent as x when we try to implement this. And the last one is our dependent variable. Now this dependent variable will get its value as yes or no depending upon the these previous 6 attributes. Now we are talking about the generalized hypothesis. See, once you get the training data and once you get this dependent and independent data, we get some sort of conclusions or hypothesis for a given database. After that, we have to generate some general hypothesis. Now what is this general hypothesis is that particular conclusion whatever you have drawn, that should not get limited with the attributes. Okay, the attribute should not be limited. Like you cannot say a conclusion that only for these attributes the hypothesis is going to be correct. Okay, if you are writing a generalized hypothesis instead of specific hypothesis, your problem, your predicted application will run efficiently. It will take all types of training data. Okay, so in any program or in any ML application, generally, okay, what is recommended is we should go for general hypothesis instead of specific hypothesis. If you go for specific means what? You are confining or limiting your attributes. Okay, that means you are fixing that the attribute in this first column, that is under sky, you are fixing it as sunny only. If I give the input as a rainy, you may not get any result. It may not show yes or no. No result can be obtained there. Okay, so always it is recommended to go for general hypothesis. Okay, so whatever may be the result, whether it is positive or negative, that is the second case. The thing here is whether it is generating some output or not, that is the most important here. Alright, so each and every attribute under general hypothesis, we use this question mark symbol. Okay, that means any type of attribute is accepted under that particular column as an input. Then if you want to be more and more specific, okay, that means you want to keep some restrictions on the input values whatever you want to give, like suppose if it is under temperature, you can fix cold. That means if you are trying to give warm as one of the input under temperature, it won't accept your input at all. Okay, and it won't run that particular application. So one way for this is fix one value, fix one attribute to make the general hypothesis to specific hypothesis. This is first thing. Second one is you can also make the attribute as null. This is much more specific. Null means what? Say here zeros are made, it is not zeros, these are nulls here. Okay. So null is what? Null means you are not accepting any input at all. No, you are not even accepting a fixed input. Okay, so this is also a type of specific attribute or specific hypothesis. Okay, so what are the total attributes we can give for any training data are the set of attributes which are given as inputs. Along with this, you can also give 2 more attributes for each column, that is one question mark and one is null. These are 2 additional attributes which can be added by default to any of the training data set. Is this clear, students, up to this point?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so generally every instance in the sense every row. Okay, remember instance means a row. Okay, each single row is called as an instance. Okay, so if you take the first row, each row is indicated by this notation h of x. And what is x here? X is the attributes what you give. H is the hypothesis and x is the attributes. What are the attributes for first column? These are the attributes: sunny, warm, normal, strong, warm, same. These are the 6 attributes we are giving for x. Then what is s? You may get the doubt that s is also an attribute, right? So this is what s is actually our resultant attribute for these 6 input variables. We are going to represent using the binomial values. Okay, in hypothesis we generally use binomial representations for the output values. Okay, So under output here we are having yes and no. So because we have to use the binomial representations, S will be always represented using 1. Uh, it may be S or it may be some positive statements. All the positive statements are represented as a yes. Then all the negative statements which are leading to no or null, okay, so all those negative statements will be represented using 0 in general notation. Okay, so this is our result. So this last column is represented by the yes or no values, okay, which implies the binomial representation, and we don't include that last column under x. X won't consider the independent variables. X is meant only for the dependent variables. Okay. And now this is one of the representation you can see for the generalized hypothesis. How can you say this is generalized, students? Which attribute is telling that this hypothesis is a generalized hypothesis? Which attribute? Yeah. Yes. Which one? It is simple now. Generalized means what? Question mark. Question mark. See, question mark indicates that you are going to take. You can any type of input is allowed here under question mark. Generalized means what? There is no restriction on the input value. The last column. What is the last column? That is sixth column. Forecast. So yes, forecast as same and change. You can give any of these attribute name. Both are accepted. Okay. For both these two inputs, you will get definitely one result. Okay. But you see here, second and third attribute, cold and high. Okay. See the second column. Second is cold here. What is other value? Warm. So if you give warm as one of the input here, that input, first of all, it won't be accepted by that application. Okay, processing is the second step, but during the first step only, it will reject the input. Okay, so this cold and high, what these are specific. You are fixing the attributes here. You are asking the application to take the inputs where the second column attribute is cold and third column attribute is high. Other than these two, if you are getting some other inputs at the second place and third place of the input, that input will not be considered. Okay, whatever value you take at the question marks, that will be rejected. Did you follow, students? Is this clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, it is clear.
Okay. Am I audible, students? Is my voice
Yes,
clear?
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now this example where a person is there, although okay, we are identifying that what are the chances that this person Aldo is going to play. Okay, what are the preferred environment for him to play. Okay, so that we are going to analyze using this hypothesis. And the result, the output which you get, okay, that is 0 or 1. We are seeing here 0 or 1, right? This output is represented with the notation C. Okay, so this is C output. Okay, and now see here, C of, we normally represent the output as C of x comma 0. See this one. This is okay. 1 second, students. Yeah. So this is we are having the C equal to 1 for positive prediction and C of x equal to 0 for negative prediction. Okay. Now 1 second, students. Okay, now these are the different attributes we have. Okay, now see here, the number of attributes across each column are given here. 2, 2 and 2. So remember this one. Only the first column is having 3 values, 3 possible values for the attribute sky. Remaining 5. Okay, remaining 5 attributes are having the 2 values. Okay, just remember this one. Okay, now under this hypothesis, now we have learned what is the equation. Okay, if inputs are there, we are going to use h of x, small h of x. Output is represented with c of x. And what is c? C can be either 0 or 1. That is a negative for 0, and a positive prediction is represented by 1. And this c is also called as a target function or target value. Okay. The outputs are also represented or also called as a target function or a target value. Okay. And this is our equation, which we can say this is our approximation equation. Okay, last class we have seen approximation function, right? For this type of application, for where we need to do prediction, okay, it is not a game, okay, not a checkers game. This is prediction type of problem. So here we call it as a target function or approximation function. Okay, and now here c of x are positive. And we write the input and output as an ordered pair, and the ordered pair is represented using x c of x, input and output, x comma c of x. Okay, and for each instance, we will generate a small h. Small h is what? For each row of data, we will generate this hypothesis h, small h. When you combine the hypothesis of each and every row, okay, suppose you are giving 10 inputs. For all the 10 inputs, you will get 10 hypotheses. Okay, 10 type of output predictions you will get. Some may be positive prediction, some may be negative prediction. When you club all these things, when we try to add all these things, okay, all the things, okay, h1 to h10, when you add and when you get the result, so this becomes the training data. Okay, you are taking a set of input data which will become the training data. One row of data, that is simply h1, simply h2, is never a training data. When you combine a set of inputs only, that becomes a training data. Okay, and you are going to combine the results. What are the results? Whether you are getting 0 or 1, those you have to combine here, and that will become the training data. Is this clear, students? Notations?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then next type is inductive learning hypothesis. This is one category of hypothesis. Now what this hypothesis says that if you have built a target function using some training examples. Okay, just now whatever we have built is with the help of some database, we have built some training function. Okay, some training data we have developed. So with the help of the training examples, if you have if you are able to find out a target function, okay, by generating a set of training examples, then that data, okay, or that hypothesis can also be used to analyze any new input, if it is given, you can even analyze that new input which is not present in the training examples or training data, and you will be able to generate some sort of output. Okay, why we are giving the training data actually? Why we need to store the training data actually? See, training data is mainly to make the system learn, okay, for so and so category of input, what should be the output. Right, once your training examples or training data is ready, okay, even if a new output is given, it will try to analyze that particular data. The machine will itself will make some analysis, okay, it will automatically generate some output. It will approximate, means it won't, whatever result we are getting, that is not 100% accurate, but it will be nearer to the accurate result. Are you following, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that is the inductive learning hypothesis. What is inductive learning? Once you are ready with a set of training examples, then only whatever new output is given, you will be able to estimate what can be the accurate output for that new input. So that type of hypothesis is called as inductive learning hypothesis. Okay, it is a very simple thing. Okay, you are generating output with the help of training data, then that hypothesis is called as inductive learning hypothesis, okay, which we can say in a simple terms. And now these are some set of values which we can assign. See, here we have discussed about these three things. See, first one we have done about instances. Then H is what? H will give the training data, and whatever values are there for each and every column, okay, that is for each and every attribute, whatever values are there, that we have also counted. If you remember, see, in the database how many values are there here? Okay, 6 attributes are there from sky to forecast. We have counted here. The number of values for each attribute is sky 3, temperature 2, humidity 2, wind 2, water 2, and forecast 2. Now the total number of values for these 6 independent attributes are here. Total 6 attributes are there. Among 6, first one is 3 values, remaining 5 are 2 values. So that is calculated over here. 3 into 2 into 2, that is total 96 distinct instances you can generate for the training data. Are you following, students? This
Yes.
is what this is a type of combinations only, permutations, combinations. If you remember, by counting, by multiplying all these things, you get total 96 distinct images. Means your training data will be having 96 rows of data. Second, if you want to go for a generalized hypothesis, or if you want to go for the all type of inputs, okay, we have to consider even the 2 additional values, that is question mark as well as null. Okay, now these are the two things here. So here, if you, so 3 is what in the first row? It is having 3 values for the sky. In addition to that, we are adding comma and null attribute, means 3 plus 2. These are 2 attributes. We have additional attributes. These are added to the first attribute 3 and it will become 5. Similarly, question mark and null, these are also added to second attribute 2. So it will become 2 plus 2, that is 4. Okay, so likewise for each and every value for the remaining columns also we are adding both the question mark and null, which will indicate that total set of inputs, okay, in addition to the given training data. And when you include these additional attributes, this hypothesis is called as distinct hypothesis. Okay, it is a other name given to the hypothesis. Okay, we call this as a distinct hypothesis. within H, okay, within the same hypothesis, if you add these two symbols for each and every column, question mark and null, then the total number of training data which you get is here 5120 for this database, right? And similarly, you can also change this existing hypothesis 96 instances in one more way. That is, the other thing is you can just add simply null. Okay, without a question mark, if you simply add null, that also generates some output, and that type of hypothesis, when you change the original hypothesis by adding only null symbol, that will generate another set of values, that is this one. Okay, so that means to this 322 and 222, for this set you are adding only null. That means you are adding only one attribute for these three things. So it will become 3 plus 1, 2 plus 1, 2 plus 1, and so on. Okay, so this will be our resultant set of values. Okay, 3 plus 1, 2 plus 1, 2 plus 1, and 2 plus 1, and so on. Okay, and when all are null without any, okay, there is also one row that will be generated where all the 6 attributes will be null. This is also one type of training data only. This is one instance which is equal to 1, and that one is added over here. Are you following, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so here we are taking 433, 333, right? That means what? We are taking all the combinations. Okay, so in this, for the values which are in the brackets, null can be at a first column, second column, third column, or any column. With one combination, two combination, two nulls, four nulls, and so on, we can take these inputs. The last combination, if you take, is all the 6 columns are null. That will be our 1. Okay, so this will be our training data, which will be generated when you take only null as an additional attribute. Okay, so 973 rows of data will be generated if you consider this hypothesis, or if you try to add a null as one of the new value for the given attributes. And this type of hypothesis is called as semantic distinct hypothesis. If you add question mark and null, it becomes only distinct hypothesis. Okay, and if you take only null, it becomes semantic distinct hypothesis. Okay, original hypothesis we are changing to this. Why we are changing to this? Because in order to increase our training data. You can see here, training data is a very large amount. Okay, when compared to 96, training data is high here, 5120 and 973. Okay, you can also convert the hypothesis to this form, just to increase our training data. Right. Is this clear now, these calculations?
Yes, ma'am. Clear, madam.
Okay. This is next topic. Okay, if some attributes are given to us, okay, some instances are given to us, how to convert a generalized hypothesis, okay, to specific hypothesis that we are going to talk here. Okay, so here we have HK and HJ. These are two sets of hypotheses, and to understand this, we'll try to take the examples of these two. H1 is one hypothesis where sunny and strong, two attributes are fixed. That means these are specific. These question marks are general. They can accept any type of inputs. Here only sunny is specific. Remaining 5 are general. Any type of input can be accepted. See here. Okay, if you see here, this is one instance. X1 is one instance, means one input you are giving. Okay, input will take all the 6 attributes. So if you give this input, it will hypothesis will check H1, H2, H3 will check. If you consider first H1, okay, for this first input, okay, it will check whether first of all these two arguments, these two values are there in the given input or not for the X1. And if you see here, Sunny is there here. Strong is also there. So definitely this input will be accepted by H1 hypothesis. The remaining things, okay, remaining warm, high, cool and same. Okay, you can give any values over here. There is no restriction. So H1 hypothesis will consider this X1. Okay, and if you observe the second hypothesis H2, see here Sunny is there here fixed. Here also in H1 also Sunny is fixed. That means whatever input is accepted by H1, it is also accepted by H2. Do you agree with this? Students, do you agree with this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Similarly, if you consider H2 and H3, here also Sunny is there, H2 also Sunny is there. Here cool is there. Okay. Now whatever input you are giving to H3, that will also be accepted by H2. Okay. H1 accepts, H2 accepts both H1 hypothesis as well as H3 hypothesis. Similarly, X2 Sunny is there, warm is there. Okay, it should be either. So this won't be accepted by H3, and here light is there. Instead of strong, if it is a strong, it would have been accepted by H1, but here light is there, it won't be accepted by either H1 and H3, but it will be accepted by H2. H2 is only X2 is only accepted by H2. H1 and H3 are not accepted. Now what can we say by such type of specific and generalized attributes is, we will say that H2 is in relation with H1 and H3. Okay, or we will say it is, we will say more or general than or equal to correlation. We normally say this hypothesis as equal to correlation, or greater than or equal to, or general or equal to correlation. H1 is matching with H2 is matching with both H1 and H3. Right, and so here now H2 is having less constraints. That means H2 is general. H1 is having more constraints. Means two attributes are fixed. This is specific. H3 is also specific when compared to H2. Why we are saying general or specific is, when you compare two things, then only among these hypotheses we can say this is specific when compared to H2. This is also specific when compared to H2. When you compare H1 and H3, there is no specific or general. You can't say both are specific or general, because there is no type of any correlation for which we can say they are general or specific. So in this case, H2 is general, H1 is specific. So that is what is here. H2, Hj here is what? Hj is more general or equal to Hk. That means Hj here is our H2. This is more general than H1 and H3. H3 is our Hk. H1 and H3 are our Hk. So that is what is said under the general to specific ordering. Okay, given an hypothesis, we can identify what is specific hypothesis and what is general hypothesis by comparing them only. Without comparing, you cannot say. Okay, if you want to correlate two hypotheses, you have to compare their attribute values, and you have to say with respect to what attribute that particular, with respect to what hypothesis that particular given hypothesis is general or specific. So that is about this concept. Based upon the fixed values only, you can say that whether it is in general or specific to the second hypothesis. Is this clear, students?
Yes.
In this slide.
Yes, madam.
Okay. Now see here, H1 and H3 are specific to H2. See here, this what this graph is showing is, these are some instances X1 and X2, and there is a point which is correlating with X2 and x1. See, this dot is belonging to both x1 and x2. That means this is an attribute Sunny. This is present in both x1 and x2. Similarly, the remaining, okay, which is present only in x1 is present here. That is cool. Okay, this is a cool which is not present in x2. Okay, so the attributes are represented here. The values are represented here, and here what is represented is which are specific hypotheses, they go to the top direction, which are general, they come down. Here H1 and H3 are specific, so they go up. H1 and H3 are at the top level. H2 is general when compared to H1 and H3, so it is placed downward. Downside of this graph is general hypothesis. As we go up, we generate the specific hypothesis. Okay, so this is about the representation. Okay, so same thing is said here with respect to H2. We can say H1 is specific as well as H3 is specific. Now, am I clear up to this point, students? Any doubts you can ask? So these are actually the basics, the basic statistics which are required to develop any machine learning application. Okay? Mathematics, all the machine learning applications you have to develop using maths only. Without maths knowledge, you cannot develop any ML application. Okay? A lot of statistics we need to learn, and a concepts of data structures is also needed to implement any type of ML application. So that's why we are studying all this mathematics. Okay. Then next one is specific. Find S algorithm. S algorithm means what? We are trying to deal with the specific hypothesis. S means specific hypothesis. Now under this algorithm, okay, what is the purpose of this algorithm? Okay, the purpose of this algorithm is to convert the most specific hypothesis to a generalized hypothesis. Okay, so this graph will represent how to convert a specific to generalized hypothesis. So we'll try to understand each step by seeing the example. Okay, so first we will start with one hypothesis. Randomly we will take one hypothesis. Is the slide visible to you properly?
Yes, ma'am, but not clearly.
Yes. Not clear. One second. Okay, I'll again pass it to you, the slide. Okay, it will be visible to you. So see here we are taking first step in this S algorithm is you have to consider start with a specific hypothesis. Take the most specific hypothesis. The most specific hypothesis is where H will contain, okay, a particular hypothesis will contain all null values. Okay, the more the null values, the more specific the hypothesis is. If you consider only one or two null values, it is less specific. If all the attributes are null value, it is a more specific. Okay, so the first step is you have to consider the most specific hypothesis. The most specific or the highest degree of specific hypothesis, all the attributes should be null. So that we are considering, first we are taking H naught equal to all the values, all the 6 attributes are null. This is our step 1. Okay, step 1 of our algorithm. Then second one is what it is said is, for each positive training instance, okay, you are giving some instances. Okay, for if it is a positive instance, how do you say it is a positive instance? Yeah, students, when do you say it is a positive instance? Just now we have discussed C of x equal to 1 or positive, C of x equal to 0 or negative. Means what? When do you say it is a positive and a negative instance? Based upon the output. I am giving some values for as input. Okay. Some sunny I am giving. Okay. Then weather is cold. Right. Some sort of instances I am giving. For this particular category of input, if I am getting the output as yes, okay, the person Aldo is ready to play. S is what? It is a true condition. Okay, whenever it is S or 1, we say the particular instance is positive. If I am getting a no or 0 as output, then it is called as a negative instance. Are you following, students? Means it is showing some negative result. The prediction has been shown as negative. Okay, so after finding out this specific hypothesis, then we are going to take a set of instances. That means set of inputs. Among those set of inputs, some may be positive instances, some may be negative instances. Remember, instance means inputs. Okay, every time we are going to use the word instance, we are not going to use the word inputs here. So whenever you find a positive instance, that positive instance will be whatever values are given under that positive instance. Values here are sunny, cold, okay, rainy, okay, whatever values you are giving under this for each instance. Whenever the total result is S, if it is S, whatever instances are there corresponding to S, okay, for this S, whatever inputs are there here, those all inputs will be added over to this H. Okay, it will be the null values will be replaced by these instances. That is our second step. Okay, if this instance is leading to prediction value as no, output is no or 0, then don't replace these null values, keep them as it is. So that is about the second step. So here first one, if you see here, we are having sunny, warm, normal, strong, warm and same. So before checking the attributes, first of all you need to check this. See whether they are positive or negative. It is given here. This is a positive. This is also positive. This is negative. This is a positive. So 3 positive instances are given. Because it is positive, I will try to modify this H naught. All the null values will be replaced by the 6 instance values. Okay, so take sunny, warm, normal, strong, warm, same. Just replace these things with the null value. So the H naught hypothesis will be modified to H1. Now H naught is not present. Instead of H naught, we are having H1. This is our new hypothesis. Okay, this is our new set of training data. Okay, one type of training data we got. Okay, now you have to repeat this process. Second step is you have to repeat this process until all the instances are cross-checked with this newly formed hypothesis. go on repeating this process until all instances are cross-checked and replaced. Then go to the second instance, x2. X2 is a positive. Is it a positive or negative instance? Tell me. Students, is it positive or negative instance? Positive. Okay, it is leading. Yes, it is leading to the result as S. So again check here. See, there is only one input difference here. All the attributes are same. Only in the third attribute, here I am having normal, and in here we are having high. The remaining all are same. Okay. Now what we will do? Now I want to include this. If I want to make it generalized, okay, a specific instance, if I want to make it generalized, I should include all the inputs. Then how do I include? Whenever there is a change in the input in the previous instance and the next instance, then only we have to replace that particular position of the attribute as question mark. Now x1, first attribute, second attribute, in x1 and x2 they are same. There is no change. So that sunny word is kept as it is. Now h1 is modified as h2. H1 is modified as h2, and the attributes are checked. Sunny and sunny both are same, so that sunny is written as it is in h2, no change. Okay, previously in h1 it is warm, in x2 it is also warm. You can check x1 x2, or you can check h1 and x2 also. Warm and warm, no change. So this is also kept as it is. Then here third instance is normal, here high. So there is an updation, there is a modification. I want to include both high and normal. Both these two inputs should be accepted. So for that case, I am keeping question mark. Okay, so any type of input you can give, either normal or high. This third one is strong here. Here also strong, no change. Okay, we should not give question mark. Warm, and similarly same and same. So use these words as it is. So this becomes our next hypothesis. Now H1 and H2 are not there in our. They are not our new hypothesis. Now we have to work over H2. Again same process. So under H0, for H0 we have checked with X1. Here we have checked with X2. Now we have to check with X3. Now X3 is, if you see, this is negative. Okay, the slide is not visible to you. See, this X3 is negative. Whenever negative is there, don't cross check. Don't cross check with the newly formed hypothesis. Leave this one. Okay. You have to modify only when there is a positive. Now check X4 and H2. Now this is sunny, which is there in H2 also, first one. Now checking X4 and H2. This is sunny, it is kept as it is. This is warm, kept as it is. And high is there. This is already question mark. Don't change it, the question mark. Keep as it is. Strong is there. Here also strong. Here cool is there, and here warm is there. Right? Change is there. Okay. Here same is there. Here change is there. So in H3, one of the attribute is replaced with question mark. In H4, the second attribute, that is changed, is replaced with question mark. Cool and change is replaced with question mark. Okay, so in this way, we have to cross check all the instances with the newly formed hypothesis. Follow, students. Did you understand? And then finally, whatever hypothesis you get, you are just going to display that one. Okay, again same diagram. See, H1 is considered, it was on the top, which is specific. It has been converted into generalized form one after the other, then H1, then H2, H3, then H4, and so on. Okay, so this is all about the S algorithm. Okay, whatever explanation was there, again same thing is there in the slides. Did you follow the process of this find S algorithm? Students, so this is the last one, that is limitation of find S. So once you have completed the specific hypothesis, you have to be sure that the hypothesis is that whatever we have started is the most specific hypothesis, and whatever instances we have taken, those instances are proper instances. Proper instances in the sense we have taken x2, x3, right, x4 and so on. So all these instances are whether we have taken the appropriate instances or not, that we have to be careful. Okay, we need to take accurate instances so that we can get the more generalized hypothesis. So these are some limitations. We can't assure that whatever instances we have taken, those are all leading to the general hypothesis. Okay, here in all the cases, in all the times, we may not be able to say that these are the correct instances which we have taken. Okay, and sometimes when we ignore the negative instances, because as per the algorithm of S, we have to neglect the negative instances. When we neglect the negative instances, sometimes some kind of mismatch may be done when we are generating the general hypothesis. So these are some limitations what we have under the S algorithm. Okay, and what we can't say about all these instances are consistent, means all are accurate. Okay, and we have covered all the instances or not, that also we can't assure. Yes, students, any doubts? Yes, Divya,
Madam,
is this clear? Any doubts?
it is clear, ma'am, no doubts.
Ritvik? Okay, ma. So join for the lab at 3:15 today. Okay, we shall do the lab on decision tree, because decision tree is present in the first unit as your topic. It will make the concept more clear. Okay, we will be starting with the decision tree programs.
Okay.
So that
Okay,
we are
ma'am.
going to complete the first unit topic also.
Okay. Okay, ma'am.
I'll try to share these PPTs afterwards. Okay, ma'am. Join to the lab at 3:15. I'm ending the class.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.